Good evening. I'm here to share about my research paper. I chose test anxiety in the elementary schools, and the paper I did was the research paper was called A Control Value Theory Approach Relationships Between Academic Self Concept, Interest, and Test Anxiety in the Elementary School Children. So the research was done with 192 fourth grade students from Germany, and they were asked, they were actually read aloud three different questionnaires to get their responses to test the following three things: the relationship between academic self-concept, interest, and test anxiety, predicting effects of academic self-concept and interest on test anxiety, and whether the relationship between academic self-concept, interest, and test anxiety varied by gender. And the results they found was that there was a statistically significant positive relationship in children's academic self-concept and interest. Also, there was a negative relationship between the academic self-concept and the test anxiety, but it also revealed that the child's test anxiety is not in any way related to their interest in a particular subject. So it's mainly connected, the higher the anxiety is if they have a lower self concept of their academic ability in a subject. The results also found a slight correlation between the genders and that girls were more likely to exhibit the high levels of test anxiety than boys. I chose this topic because, well, 'tis the season in fourth grade for PSSA testings, and I have seen across my couple of years teaching test anxiety in children. I've had parents talk to me about the anxiety that their children display over PSSA testing, as well as just other testing and concerns about their academic ability and achievement in the classroom. I just thought it was an interesting thing because as I reflect back as a child, I feel like I lived a pretty carefree life, and I do not recall my peers or I really stressing over school tests or assignments, and the anxiety that you can sense in a classroom and in the elementary school that is very shocking to me. So I thought it'd be interesting to see what studies are out there and what they have found. I was shocked to know that there wasn't a correlation between the interests. It was just more their self-academic concept. After reading our assignment on the high stakes testing policies and their research with psychological theories and research, it was chapter 20. There was definitely some correlation between my study and that reading. The pressure that comes from the high stakes testing definitely can increase that anxiety. And in my classroom in school, we really try to minimize that stress as much as possible, not to add any pressure to the students or hype them up in any negative ways. Also, the schools and students and teachers are administered rewards or sanctions based on the results. Again, something that I think can increase the anxiety. And then Grolnick and Ryan's study indicate that when test evaluations and rewards are used in controlling ways, they have negative effects on the student's interest, motivation, and higher level cognitive outcomes in school. I thought that study was interesting because using it affects their interest, but their interest does not really relate to their anxiety. However, the higher level cognitive outcomes in school, I think you can see the correlation between that and the academics. Also, it mentioned in my study about the underachieving students and the more stress they have, obviously, because they do not have the academic concepts down as your higher achieving students do. So as it's mentioned in chapter 20, is the paper and pencil test, a fit for all learners, and is it a one size fits all type deal, which I think we can all agree that it's not a fair assessment for every student. The takeaways I took from this research project was the motivation and interest is not a key standing for anxiety, and that we need to focus on building up that student's self academic concept building their confidence, making them feel stronger in the subject they're being tested in to help decrease that anxiety. Also, that boys versus girls, girls seem to have a little bit more anxiety, and I could relate to that just in my household between my husband and I definitely get more stressed out and worked up over bigger events, I mean, even such as testing.